The man that is sitting to your right, Patrick Bet David, has been quoted 64 times in a killer, in a murderer, in a terrorist manifesto. And you've got him sitting on your right. You must be mad. Like, bro, shut up. Shut up. If you want to believe that, cool, no problem. Okay, let's look at stats. Let's look at who's inspired who. You've inspired a terrorist, but you want to start pointing fingers at Muslims for terror. Bro, you're crazy, bro. I keep coming back to this. Patrick, you're mad for bringing this guy on. You're absolutely crazy for bringing this guy on. If I have a conversation with you about the Trinity, it will crumble. I just watched 1 or 2 Sheikh Uthman videos, write down all those things, come to you, and you still won't have any answers. You wouldn't have any answers, bro. So, yes, you should become Muslim, bro, but only because it's the truth, not because Robert Spencer is saying to you, like, oh, he's going to become Muslim, and he's just saying it spitefully and whatever, and he's only doing that so that he can play in your head, Patrick. Just remember that these are the guys that you associate with that are effing with you, bro. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome back to No Risk, No Rizq with myself, Ehsan Khan. Today, we're going to be talking about this brand new debate that happened between Patrick Bet David and Daniel Hakikatju, Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, a guy called Robert Spencer on the Christian side, and a guy called Hamami. I forget his name. We're going to call him Hamami. In Arabic, that means toilet. So first off, let me just encapsulate this video by saying that over the last few years, actually, let's take it back a little bit further. For about 10 years now, Patrick Bet David has been one of the pioneers within the YouTube space, and specifically within the business entrepreneurial mindset and leadership space. He's actually one of the first people that inspired me to start my first business, funnily enough. And it was a video that he did where he was driving this Ferrari and it was like a motivational talk. And these type of videos are quite normal now. Like every day, if you were to open up your Instagram, open up YouTube Shorts or TikTok, you're going to get some sort of motivational video. The thing is at that time, there weren't that many. And Patrick Bet David was one of the first people to start doing these type of videos and start making that type of content. So I've had a lot of love and respect for Patrick David for a decade or so. However, in the last few years, what I've noticed watching his podcasts is that he takes a stance against Islam most of the time. Most of the time when he's talking and they refer to Islam, he will always try to add some negativity in there. He'll always assume that Muslims are terrorists and, he'll push that type of narrative. And I've always commented, and I'm not like a comment type of person, but on his videos, I have commented because I've felt that someone like him will be reading the comments. He will be analyzing the comments. And it's important for Muslims to represent themselves properly when it's just a group of non-Muslims talking. Now, fast forward to this week, and I think a lot of that criticism is something that he's taken on board. Least of all, I think what's happened is he's been interviewing so many Muslims, so many prominent figures and people who he highly respects and finding out, why they're Muslims and what Islam has done for them. For example, he interviewed Khabib recently, and Khabib is quite clearly one of the greatest fighters of all time. How did he get that? He got that discipline through Islam. The brotherhood that he has with his team is all for the sake of Allah. He's also interviewed Andrew Tate, and Andrew Tate, obviously famously being the most famous man on the planet, and also the most famous revert to Islam on the planet today. So that in itself is something to take a look at. How is this person, and why is this person, Andrew Tate, who, for all intents and purposes, doesn't need religion. He doesn't need God. He was an atheist / Christian. Why did he need to come to Islam? He already had fame, he already had wealth, he already had all of these things. Why did he need to come to Islam? And so that's another question that I think has been playing in Patrick Bet David's mind. And what's happened is they've come together and they've done a debate. They've done a debate between Muslims and Christians. Now, what they've actually done, and I want to say this, Patrick, you've brought on 2 career Islamophobes onto your show. And you've brought on 2 Muslims who defend Islam and debate between Muslims and Christians and Muslims and other religions. And so just from that perspective, I want you, I really want Patrick Bet David to hear this. Whether you're listening to this as a follower, as a subscriber, as, just anybody who's listening to this, I appreciate that. But I want you guys to please tag Patrick Bet David, tag Valuetainment in the comments of this, because This is going to be some hard-hitting points in this video. First thing that I want to say is, like I said, you've brought on two career Islamophobes against two people who are not against Christianity. They haven't built a career talking about Christianity. They've built their careers talking about Islam. Yes, they've debated Christians. That's part of life. That's part of, if you're part of any religion, you're going to debate people from other religions in the purpose of seeking the truth. But what you've done, Patrick, is you've brought on two people on the Christian side who aren't there for the truth, even though Robert Spencer says, the only thing you're going to get from me is the truth. And then he went on to lie straight after that. I mean, you have to look at this, Patrick, and you have to ask yourself, well, why did you bring on two people who attack the religion of Islam? Why couldn't you bring on just a pastor? Why can't you just bring on a church cleric? Why don't you bring on your pastor, the pastor of the church that you go to? If you respect this man, if you listen to him, if you follow him, why would you not bring him on to debate Muslims about religion and Christianity? That would make sense, right? Whereas you've brought on someone, and if I go to Robert Spencer's YouTube, in fact, you know what? Let's just share my screen. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, cool. So if we go to Robert Spencer, now check this out. The Critical Quran, Key Islamic Commentaries and Historical Research. Okay, so first of all, this guy literally has 0 qualifications in Islam. He has 0 qualifications in Islam. And the first video that comes up is the Critical Quran, Key Islamic Commentaries and Historical Research. So this guy is focusing on Islam. He's not even focusing on Christianity. All right, so that's number one. Patrick, you brought on somebody who his whole thing is to attack the Muslims. It's not to defend Christianity or promote Christianity. It's to attack this other religion. Now, why is this person attacking the other religion? Why is he spending a whole career attacking another religion? It doesn't really make any sense for you to bring this person on. So let's look at it. Robert Spencer, CBN News, Islamic terrorists pose greatest threat to home front. I want to ask, like, in the last 20 years since 9/11, how many attacks have been done in the name of Allah, in the name of Islam? I'm not even saying how many of them were Muslims. I'm saying how many people even claimed Islam. How many? But actually, when you look at all these school shootings, it's either done by atheists or Christians. And what do? You label them as mental loons, as lone wolves. And the thing is actually, you were quoted, Robert Spencer, by a terrorist. Anders Breivik. Let's go check this out. Anders Breivik. Is a Norwegian far-right domestic terrorist. Okay, this is Wikipedia. This is not Islam QA. This is not, I don't know, Salafi.org. He's known primarily for committing the 2011 Norway attacks on 22nd of July 2011, in which he killed 8 people by detonating a van bomb, and then killed 69 participants of a workers' youth league summer camp in a mass shooting. What the hell? So he did 2. He's a terrorist twice. Okay, and now let's type this in. Anders Breivik, Robert Spencer. Got like anti-Muslim thought in the US. Yeah, look, there you go. The man accused of killing spree in Norway is deeply influenced by anti-Muslim blogger and right-wing activist. ... Let's see who they're talking about. I'm the only guy in the world that rejects cookies, by the way. The man accused of killing spree in Norway is deeply influenced by a small group of American bloggers and writers who have warned for years about the threat of Islam, lacing his 15-page manifesto with quotations from them, as well as copying multiple passages from the tract of the Unabomber. Now let's see if they actually quote Robert Spencer here. Yeah, there you go. His manifesto, which denounced Norwegian politicians as failing to defend the country from Islamic influence, quoted Robert Spencer, who operates the Jihad Watch website, 64 times, and cited other Western writers who shared his view that Muslim immigrants pose a grave danger to Western culture. I want you to just focus on this. This is the New York Times. This is the New York Times. This is not the Jung News. Yeah, for any Pakistanis, you know what I'm talking about. This is not the Daily Mail. This is not the Sun. Okay, this is not a tabloid newspaper. This is the New York Times is saying that Anders Breivik, who killed over 70 people, is known as a domestic terrorist, quoted Robert Spencer, who operates the Jihad Watch website, 64 times. 64 times. Let me ask you a question. If Osama bin Laden quoted somebody 64 times, even once, let's be honest, if Osama bin Laden quoted even once a Muslim person as being the person who influenced him to do the acts that he did, that person would be in Guantanamo Bay right now. That person would not be sitting on your panel, Patrick, right next to you. The man that is sitting to your right, Patrick Bet David, has been quoted 64 times in a killer, in a murderer, in a terrorist manifesto. And you've got him sitting on your right. You must be mad. But look how mad this actually gets. Look how mad this actually gets. I've not teed this up, but let's pull this up. Because Robert Spencer, Jihad Watch. That's his whole thing, Jihad Watch. Jihad Watch. Think about this, okay? If you're non-Muslim and you're watching this, I want you to know and understand what the word jihad actually means. Jihad actually means to struggle. It is a struggle of the soul. It is to strive in the way of Allah. What does that mean? That means when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I pray my Fajr Salah, that is a form of jihad. It is a struggle that I'm doing for the sake of God. When I see a homeless person, I saw a homeless person today. I was going to get some paratha, and there's a homeless person standing outside the shop. And he said, listen, I need some money. I need some food. I need a tea. I need something. And I said, okay, fine. I'll buy you a tea. No problem. So I bought my tea and he was on his way. Now, that is a struggle. That is something that I've had to think about and think, okay, if I give this man money, what will he do with it? Okay, let me buy him a tea. So I bought him a tea. That's my time. Those are my hours that I've put in to get that money. Okay, this tea is not, bro, tea is not cheap these days. Tea was £1.50. Are you mad? You make it at home for like 20p. Anyway, that is what jihad is. Jihad is to struggle in the cause of Allah. What you've done is you've focused your entire life. You focused your entire life on a few passages of the Quran where Allah is instructing the Muslims to defend themselves. Did you know that that's actually the reason? That's actually what you're quoting. You're actually quoting, fight those who fight against you. But if they stop, then you should also stop. And you should not transgress the rules which I have given unto you as soldiers. So in the field of war, there are rules that Allah has given to the people. And Allah is saying in the quotes, in the verses that Robert Spencer wants to talk about, these are actually, he needs to read it. Like, Patrick, you need to read this, okay? And I'd implore you to actually sit down with somebody like Sheikh Uthman, for example. Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk. He'll set you straight, bro. Anything that you think is an issue with Islam, he'll set you straight, no problem. I would love to see something like Mufti Menk on this panel, but I don't think that Mufti Menk would ever do that. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. Put the bong down, go to bed. What is wrong with this guy? So I want to find what he actually said. Oh, okay, cool. So he's just never advocated violence. One with Breivik specifically said they were a deadly shock attack for Muslims. Yeah, all right. Oh, okay. So now Dilly's there. Shout out to Dilly. This is going mad. This is actually going crazy. So, like, this is what happened after the debate, okay? So, Patrick, you brought this guy on, yeah? You set him to your right. And there was a few times, Patrick, I'm going to say this, okay? Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa, Musa Adnan, Daniel Hakikat Jew, Jake, the Muslim, these guys will not say that there were times that you were biased and that you went over a few things. They won't say that because they're building a relationship with you, and they'll probably say that to you in private. They'd probably maybe break that down and say, look, I don't think that you should have done that, or that you should have done that. Whatever the case may be. Look what Robert Spencer said. Watch for Patrick Bet David to convert to Islam soon. When the Islamic apologists on his show defended murdering people for exercising their freedom of conscience, he should have understood what he was dealing with. Instead, he babbled on about building bridges and went on the Dean show with hate-filled, lying character assassin Eddie right after. All right. If there's one thing in the world that everybody knows, Eddie is not hate-filled. Eddie is just a great guy. I can't say it in any other way. What do you want me to say about Eddie, bro? This guy's been on this for over a decade, the Dean show, for as long as I can remember. This guy has just tried to promote Islam in a nice way, without getting too political. This guy's a nice guy. You're saying he's hate-filled? PBD is infatuated with Islam. We'll come to that. That is understandable, given the wholesale moral collapse in the West and the fact that the deep and widespread corruption has spread into the churches. But he should have realized that one enslavement to tyranny and lies is no cure for another. He is getting played expertly by the dour boys and has no idea what is being done to him. Allahu Akbar. If the truth is coming to Patrick Bet-David and Robert Spencer felt it, Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. God is the one that guides. Look, I want to start wrapping up this video, but I really just want to go into these tweets, okay? So this is what Robert Spencer said to Patrick Bet-David. And this was Patrick Bet-David's response. You sound bitter, upset, and frustrated. You were given an opportunity to come discuss the differences between Islam and Christianity. They seemed prepared with pointed questions to ask you, while you seemed defensive. Being upset with your performance is understandable. Let's see how he responded to that. You're actually evading the point I was making. They called for murder of those who exercise their freedom of conscience within minutes after the show began. You then wanted to know how we could build bridges. How exactly can one build bridges with somebody who wants him dead? And the thing is, this guy is such a liar, bro. Look, this guy has no link to reality, and he doesn't listen to anything that goes against his narrative. If I remember correctly, this was addressed, this apostasy thing was addressed. And the way that it was addressed was by talking about it in relation to treason and saying that this law for treason exists in every society, even in this society, even in the West. Edward Snowden is an American who committed an act of treason, right? He committed an act of treason. He spoke against the government. He exposed confidential documents that the government didn't want them to see. And what did they do? A witch hunt. This guy is now on a run for his life, somewhere in Russia, maybe somewhere. Okay, who knows where the guy is now? Okay, but he's had to leave. So the same is applied in Islamic Sharia, in an Islamic society. That, hey, look, we are an Islamic society. This is how we want to live, and we want to protect our way of life. If you don't like it, get the out of here, bro. In fact, all it is saying you can't speak out against it. You can have these feelings if you want to. Just don't speak out against it. We don't want trouble. We don't want anyone to cause division. And, if you don't like it, bro, there's many, many places that you can go. And so that's what it was addressed. And the other thing that I want to make very, very clear is if you look at the world, you look at statistics, how many people have been killed for leaving the religion of Islam? How many? Zero. Why? Because who are we in this day and age to call anybody a Muslim and a non-Muslim? Who are we? This guy Hamami, bro, you think this guy was a Muslim? The thing is some people might be born into a Muslim family. That doesn't mean that you were a Muslim ever. Really, it doesn't really ever mean. Look, I was born into a Muslim family. I can say that I've always had a connection with Allah, but when did I really start taking it seriously? Probably when I was about 24, 25 years old. So about 10 years now. Alhamdulillah. But if I was to leave the religion when I was 12 or 13, 15 or something, I literally had no understanding about Islam other than the cultural practices that some people hold and, we might go see, etc., etc. Like there was nothing. You can ask me about Islam now and I'll give you some decent answers. Back then, if you asked me about Islam, I wouldn't really know. And to be honest, the way that we were raised in my generation, and he's obviously a lot older than me, so his generation would have probably had it a bit worse. In that nowadays in today's society, people need to be informed and told why they're doing things and why they have to do certain things. Whereas back then you just did things, you just did things. And so the last thing that I want to do is actually just go through this. And again, Patrick, if you're watching this, just look at this guy, bro. Okay, so this is Franciscan University of Steubenville. Sounds very, very prestigious. Jihad watch video is his is his channel. Look at this. This is what's really interesting. The truth about Muhammad. What, from who? From whose source? From your own arse, mate. And he's doing it on Sangam Talks. Sangam Talks. Sounds legit. Franciscan University, the Jaipur Dialogues. Franciscan University, Steubenville, Sangam Clips, the Orthodox Ethos. Okay, that's not even talking about Islam. Westminster Institute, the Sangam Clips. Have you noticed something? Sangam Talks. Sangam Talks. So let's go check out Sangam Talks. Is an earnest effort to reclaim the Indian civilizational narrative from the clutches of colonial discourse and to revive the intellectual tradition of Europe and rejuvenate Indian civilization so that Indians can connect to their past positively. Okay. So your nationalist channel. Let's see what they talk about. Subhash Chandra Bose, The Untold Story, Indian Civilization, The Truth About Muhammad. Is Islam ready for reform? So this is quite clearly a Hindutva, BJP, Indian right-wing channel who've just adopted this guy. And it's like every single one of his videos is on Sangam Talks. Sangam Talks, Apostate Prophet. These guys are just lies. Listen. All right, cool. I'm just going to wrap this up now. Okay. So let's stop sharing the screen. Back to me. All right, Patrick, I want to say this as a message to you directly. Okay. Sitting next to you on your right was a guy called Robert Spencer, who was quoted 64 times in a manifesto by a terrorist, by an actual terrorist, somebody who killed more than 70 innocent lives. They quoted him, the guy on your right, Robert Spencer, as being the reason for, or a reason, or someone who inspired him to do those acts. And you're sitting next to him. Bro, this is not even about Christianity and Islam at this point, okay? Why are you bringing this guy on? Why are you bringing this terrorist on? You've actually brought on a terrorist. You've actually brought on a terrorist. You know who this guy is? This is that guy. Okay, like if you're watching any of these movies about terrorists and stuff, right? There's always that one guy who's just like, calling the shots, and he's telling people, he's convincing young people, he's manipulating, he's grooming young people to think in a certain way and do certain acts, where he's just sitting there raking in the money. He's writing book after book after book after book after book, creating a narrative, getting people to buy into that narrative, selling those books, and then those books are then going on to inspire murder en masse. Over 70 people have been killed through the inspiration of Robert Spencer. Bro, why are you sitting next to him? Why did you invite him? Why did you invite him? Why did you not bring on a pastor? Why not bring on a good Christian man who loves Jesus and he loves God and he loves the Holy Spirit and he wants to defend that? Okay, that's number one. Why are you sitting next to him? Number two, linked to that point is, did you notice how anytime Jake and Daniel spoke about Christianity and they actually wanted to speak about the doctrine of Christianity, there was no answer. There was no answer at all. They're like, oh, well, Muhammad said this. Like, that was their response. Like, tell me about the Trinity. Well, before we talk about the Trinity, why don't we talk about how jihad is so prevalent in today's society? Like, bro, shut up. Shut up. If you want to believe that, cool, no problem. Okay, let's look at stats. Let's look at who's inspired who. You've inspired a terrorist, but you want to start pointing fingers at Muslims for terror. Bro, you're crazy, bro. I keep coming back to this. Patrick, you're mad for bringing this guy on. You're absolutely crazy for bringing this guy on. So now, Patrick, it's up to you. What do you want to do with your life? Because your soul, like you said, either we're all wrong, either half of us are right and half of us are wrong, or the other way around, vice versa. Right? Either the Christians are right and the Muslims are wrong, or the Muslims are right and the Christians are wrong, or everyone's wrong. Right? And he's like, I'm going to take this risk. But based on what? Based on what? You're a businessman. What are you basing this risk upon? Your feelings? Your emotions? Like, this is something that I've heard a lot from Christians where they say, let me tell you about my experience with God, and which proves that Jesus is God. Like, what? I saw Jesus in a dream, and therefore, how do you know that wasn't the devil playing with you? Okay, that's why you can't go off of emotions. You cannot go off of emotions. Would you go off of emotions in business? If one of your competitors slandered you, are you going to just emotionally react to that, or are you going to stick to your plan? Right? So think about this, bro. Patrick, you brought on this guy. That was a bad mistake. If you bring on a Christian and you want to debate about doctrine, that would be much, much better. Okay? It would be much better if you did a debate now about the Trinity. Do that. Do that, bro, because that's relevant to you specifically. It's specifically relevant to you because you yourself are a Christian. You're a devout Christian. You believe Jesus is God. So why not find out if that's true or not? Don't be too vulnerable. Don't be too weak. Don't be too shy. Don't be too insecure in your own belief to actually challenge your belief. Ask me, bro. I'm not qualified in this. Ask me about Allah. Ask me about Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ask me about Angel Gabriel. I'll tell you what they are. Ask me about the devil. I'll tell you, bro. No problem. If I have a conversation with you about the Trinity, it will crumble. I just watched one or two Sheikh Uthman videos, write down all those things, come to you, and you still won't have any answers. You wouldn't have any answers, bro. So yes, you should become Muslim, bro, but only because it's the truth, not because Robert Spencer is saying to you like, oh, he's going to become Muslim, and he's just saying it spitefully and whatever, and he's only doing that so that he can play in your head, Patrick. Just remember that these are the guys that you associate with that are effing with you, bro. They're effing with you. Look at the manners of the Muslims. Look at the manners of the Muslims. The other thing I want you to know is in that debate, it was literally two men from the Islamic theology who were defending Islam and two men from Christian theology who were attacking Islam. There was no defense on their side of Christianity. Why is that? Why? Patrick, why? Patrick, is Jesus God? That's what you need to debate next. Bring Muhammad Hijab on. You can be there and bring on a nice Christian guy. Bring on the Mufti Menk for the Christians. Bring Joel Osteen on. Bring Joel Osteen on. He's the guy, right? He's the guy. Yeah, bring a healer on. Bring whoever you want. Just don't bring someone who actually attacks another religion. Bring somebody on who focuses on their religion, okay? Because if you were to have a debate between a Christian and a Muslim about scripture, and if you're going to have a conversation with them about objective moralities, if you're going to talk to them about God, the nature of God, like, isn't that the most important thing? The nature of God. Watching that episode, Patrick, if I'm being honest with you, yeah, it was like watching Fox News in 2002. That's what it was like, bro. It seems like your mindset is still stuck in 2001 to 2002. Okay, all the hatred that came out against Muslims, all the hatred that came out against Islam, all these Islamophobes that were talking. And it seems like your mind is still stuck there, Patrick. It seems like you still believe this. And maybe I shouldn't blame you, okay? Maybe you don't hang around with many Muslims for you to know what Islam is really like. But now this is a good step towards it. And may Allah guide you, bro. May this be the reason for your entry into Jannah, because you've opened the door to the truth. You've opened the door to questioning, is Jesus God? Why am I following what Paul said? And Paul said, don't listen to Jesus, but Jesus is God. Didn't Paul, like, his people kill Jesus? Isn't that convenient? Anyway, guys, please get this across to Patrick by David. Look, I'm a nobody, right? I'm a very small YouTuber. It's not like I have that much influence. But one thing that I do have is common sense, and I do have logic. And I watched that interview, that debate, and I just thought to myself, this is a shambles. This is a shambles. It was hard to listen to. It was very difficult to listen to. And even your own audience have shown that Robert Spencer and the Hammam boy are just waste mans, absolute waste mans. Okay. If you love debates, you love listening to debates, fine, listen to it. Okay. But you're not going to get anything good out of this, really, from my opinion. And especially you, Patrick. You're not, the only thing good that came out of this is that you saw that these guys are absolute. Anyways, guys, if you like that video, make sure to subscribe. We're on about 6,600 subscribers, and I feel like that's really low. Maybe I don't push that enough. Maybe I don't say it enough. But I love you guys, and you should subscribe, because we're just going to keep doing this. And I think if you want to know what you're going to get from this channel and you're going to get from me, you're just going to get the realest shit, bro. Like, I'm just going to talk about the things that I find to be the realest things in the world. And Islam is obviously the truth. If anybody wants to challenge me, bro, challenge me. I'd love it. I'd love it. I'm not even a debater, but if anybody wants to, let's do it, bro. All right, guys. Subscribe, and I'll see you. Oh, actually, I'm going to be doing some more reactions to this debate. Just some things that I feel have been missed out, some things that haven't been covered before. So yeah, that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Oh yeah, comment, please, please. I beg you guys, just comment, just tag Valuetainment, tag Patrick David in this, and yeah, that'd be really cool.